So far, the STIG-A and B are single-stage rockets.
Yep.
Are you guys going to have multi-stage rockets for the STIG?
It would be interesting. We don't have any current plans internally, like there aren't any, nothing drawn up as far as doing that. I think it would be really interesting to do because it would be a way of getting a lot more capability out of it. STIG-B will be able to move a good-sized payload to 120, 130 kilometers, which is more than enough for most of the flight opportunities payloads that are going on right now. If we went much beyond that, it would probably have to be guided just by the airspace and everything, because you can't shoot it off in a random direction, because if you fire a rocket from a rocket at 100 kilometers and it's pointed at 45 degrees, then it's going to land in Mexico, so which will get us in trouble. It would be very interesting to do an upper stage, but right now there isn't any plan for that. As far as reusability, it's maximized with just a single stage system, so that you don't have to recover two different parts and you don't have to reintegrate it together. And the staging has been shown to be, it seems like something that's pretty simple, and yet it sometimes isn't. Some other companies have had issues where things didn't stage quite as cleanly as they wanted, and that ends up giving them problems. And it just, the single stage is simpler, and for the sort of performance that we're aiming for right now is sufficient to be able to do it. So.
Now, when the STIG was first announced, there were some very interesting pictures of cluster diversion.
Yep, there were. If there was something, a payload that really needed that much increased mass, essentially the clustering, if you can take 100 kilograms to 100 kilometers with one rocket, then with two of them together, then theoretically you can get 200 kilograms to the same altitude. You don't necessarily want to go a lot higher just because of aero loading and all the recovery stuff. But right now there isn't any direct plan, like there's no immediate plan to cluster them together, but it is something within the capability. It is somewhat advantageous because right now it's a high fineness ratio, meaning that it looks like a pencil, and if you put them together it makes it a bit more stout, which makes it fly better in some respects. But it is a capability we could do. There's definitely fans of the idea at the company, but right now we don't have anything. We only have one of them in the shop at the moment, is what I'm saying.
If you guys were to do that in the future, would all the stages work in unison, or would it be more of like a booster configuration separate? Yeah,
for the parallel thing, it would be just everything together, doing the separation. It would be interesting. SpaceX is working on theirs where they're cross-feeding propellants and that sort of thing, there's definitely a big advantage to that. It does make the plumbing system much more complicated than just the single. So I think initially, if we were to cluster them, it would be all together. The classic OTRAG setup is a large cluster of stages that all burn together, and then on top of that, a smaller cluster of stages that all burn together, and on top of that, a single stage that burns by itself. So you get a three-stage system out of a whole bunch of the same stage. Really, for all of that to work, you have to have manufacturing set up such that you can just crank out the stages. And right now all of our stuff is still fairly, one-off. We tend to change stuff between the various rockets, so we would have to get the one stage shaken out really thoroughly before you would want to make more than one of them and try to fly them together.
Is it a question of funding in order to build a surplus of rockets?
I mean, it's something that we could probably do if it was something we decided to do. But right now, for the customers where we're serving, like for the Flight Opportunities Program and for doing other payloads that we're finding that people want to fly, nobody is demanding that kind of capability. So. You kind of want to build stuff that customers actually want. Sometimes, you want to do something because it's cool, but in the end, you want to be able to also make money at it. So just being cool is not always a good enough reason to go for it.
Once the STIG-B has been tested and proven, could it possibly deliver a CubeSat to orbit?
No, all of this stuff is still very far from doing orbit. Right? These are all just still up and down sort of trajectories. If you did do the additional stage like we talked about, you could, if someone wanted to build an upper stage, possibly a rocket like this, like STIG-B, or perhaps a bit bigger, could deliver something. It would have to be a lot higher performance. STIG-B is being just pressure fed. It's not a super high performance stage. It's meant to be robust and reliable and reusable rather than cutting edge, paper thin, tiny margins kind of thing. So that would be another really interesting project to do, but it's not planned at the moment.